Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the one and only Beth Traverso. How you doing, Beth?
Hey, Michael, doing great. Thank
Awesome,
you.
awesome, awesome. The audience loves you. We spend a lot of time because you're a top 1% agent around the country talking about agents. We're talking about investing. I want to talk to Beth, the landlord. What's going on where
Right.
we've just rolled over to fall, winter's coming. What's going on with Beth, the
Yeah. So we were
landlord?
chatting before the show about what's going on. And one of the things I wanted to mention was I'm seeing locally a return to seasonality in rents and rentals. I have
Interesting.
had
Tell,
two
tell me more.
units that had to come up for rent. And I know this is not I try to turn them over in the springtime, but sometimes things happen. And so I've got a couple I'm filling right now. And they're not renting right away. And I've had to drop the rent below where it was rented before. And I
Interesting.
have not had to do that in years.
Wow.
So
So are these houses or side by side
houses,
units?
single family
Houses.
houses. They're in
Okay.
an area, a suburb, within the typical renter commutes to say an Amazon or a Microsoft or one of those, the median income in the area is 159,000. So it makes you think that you wouldn't think there'd be an affordability issue. These houses are, one of them is a little craftsman house that we've got for 2,500 a month. Not
Okay.
too crazy. And
Yeah.
then another one was a subdivision house, in a HOA type neighborhood that they were renting for 3,400 and I had to drop it down to 2,900 to get someone in there
Wow. So we're talking a
because
15%
nobody
haircut.
was reaching out. And hello.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
that'll
don't
that'll
like
get your
going that
attention.
direction, excuse me. So we're no alligators, Mike. We're
Yeah.
not doing that. But thankfully there's meat on the bone. But and that's part of the reason why you want meat on the bone is for these, random fluctuations that happen. Um, on the one that I got rented for 2,900, we did write into it that it's a 6-month lease and we're bumping it up in the springtime because I do feel like we're this is a cyclical thing in this area. In that subdivision area where I had to take the rents down, that one is highly it revolves around the school year and families, and they tend to not want to move this time of year. They don't want to uproot their kids, and so they try to do it earlier in the year. So I'm thinking that might have had something to do with it. But I was wondering if it was just me, and so I checked with some other landlords in the area and also did a little research, and it isn't just me. In the Seattle area. So I'm just outside Seattle for those that don't know. In the Seattle area, rents have declined a little bit month over month, not year over year. We're still up year over year. It's pretty rare, I think, for rents to decline year over year. I don't expect
Pretty
that to
rare.
happen.
Yeah.
But what we as landlords, I think, got a little spoiled with is just like, oh, every time there's a turnover, I can raise another $400 or $500 and just we're in the money. And we love that, right? That's why we're doing this, is to make a profit and get that income. So it's interesting for me to see this and also see that it's not just me talking with other people that are in the city of Seattle and other areas around it, that it's not necessarily given that we're going to have a line out the door. Now, I'm not saying what other people in the comments will probably chime in saying in their area they're getting 15, 20 applicants. That's great. That's awesome. And we were
Yeah.
getting that a few months ago. I
Right.
don't know if we're on the front edge of something. That's how we've been in a lot of this real estate market this year. We've been leading. I don't know if I don't expect things to bump up between now and the holidays. It just doesn't work that way. So what I want to see is just in the springtime, if we get a bump again, I'm guessing we probably will. But it's an interesting dynamic to see because I haven't seen that in several years. Back in 20, I was trying to think last time I saw this where I would have a vacancy between, have a turnover where I didn't have somebody lined right up to move in. It's been a few years at least. I'm gonna have to kind of look back in my memory bank, and it's been a while. So I don't know if anybody else is seeing that out there, but it was notable enough that I thought we'd chat about it today. It's like, the
Yeah.
takeaway I would say is when you're running your numbers, folks, don't assume that rents are going to be higher. Maybe even assume, what if they were a little bit lower? Am I going to be okay? I'm going to be fine on this. Like, well, it's just one of those things. We'll figure it out. And then also doing the math, like on that one, the subdivision home, I did the math. It was easier to just drop the rent now than have it sit empty for 2-3 months. You do the math, and that adds up to way more than just reducing
Yeah.
it to whatever it's going to take to rent it now.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
don't know if anybody else has said that, or if maybe it's just me, but
Oh yeah, it's really interesting. So in my portfolio, I've definitely seen a slowdown in apartments. Houses are certainly where I buy affordable housing, which I would call both of these affordable for your market.
yeah,
Um, I don't remember having more than a week,
yeah.
and usually that's because we're cleaning it up, right? It's like a purpose
Yeah, there's
built
fix up,
week. Yeah.
cleaning.
Uh, but it's interesting. I mean, we're in, the economy's changing. People are, talking more negatively. Bloomberg's now 100% chance of a recession coming. Tech, which I would consider Seattle, much like where I live,
Yeah.
there's a lot of nervousness. Microsoft laying off, Amazon laying off, that kind of stuff. I wonder if people just aren't moving because moving's expensive,
Yeah,
right?
maybe
Even
they
if you
aren't
move
moving.
yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right. It's better to stay, right? I'm going to stay put to the spring. I wonder if any of that's going on.
Maybe that's what I'm wondering. I'm sure everybody has their own individual stories always, but I haven't heard any, I haven't had the conversations with people that are considering renting enough to know what they're thinking. So I'm curious to know insight on that. The I mean, I do this through a property manager, I want to say too. It's like I'm not the one talking
Yeah,
to them.
yeah.
So,
Me
but
either.
the another thing I was wondering is if people are not selling because they have this low interest rate, are they renting their houses instead? And do we have more houses for rent? And that is spreading out maybe it's the same demand spread out amongst more houses, and that's going to have an impact.
Yeah, I think I don't know your area, but I've definitely read articles in Southern California because it's a big market in California. I want to say this is a couple weeks old. It was something like 20% of the cancellations, so listing cancellations, became rentals.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not normal, right?
it
That's
is
just
not
people
normal.
saying, "Hey, I'm not getting my price. I got this low rate. I'm going to cash flow this thing." So,
Yeah.
definitely happening in some markets. It probably wouldn't shock me if it happened in Seattle, but I have no. It's just a guess.
Yeah, and I really don't know how to track those numbers, but it's just anecdotally what I'm seeing out there. I have seen some listings cancel and go up for rent.
Yeah.
And it does make sense if somebody doesn't want to, if they're not going to get their price and they've got this great rate, and
Why not?
maybe they decide to rent. I mean, it might be something I would suggest. I've suggested it to
I
prospective
have too.
sellers. Hey, you may want to rent instead.
Yeah, wait, wait,
So
wait a
at
year.
least for
Let
a
this thing work
while.
out. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so that
crazy.
might be going on. But then I wonder, like, well, if those people aren't selling and if they're not buying something else, maybe those people would be renting too, you'd think. But are they becoming renters? But it doesn't really seem
Yeah.
like it. So,
Nah, yeah, I think they're going to be okay. People making that choice have other piles of capital that they're
yeah,
choosing
they're
to
doing
deploy.
something else. They're buying independent of selling the house, I think is what they're
Exactly.
doing.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I
but I
think.
just
Yeah.
I just don't know if we're on the front edge of something, or maybe we're just like a weird anomaly going on right here. So,
Yeah, I'm pretty for me, right? This is the second step of the housing crash in transactions. It started September 15th. It's going to run till March 15th, which is in most markets the spring selling season. I know yours starts in January. But yeah, we're gonna see. I think there's 6 months of just a wacky market, I think, coming.
yeah, so I think it's just important for landlords and anybody involved in the real estate space to just be on your toes, watch what's going on.
Mhm.
Because having insights like this, like if somebody's in my area and getting ready to do a turnover, you need to be aware of what's going on here.
Yeah, don't be
So
surprised. Yep.
talk to your network, get out there and hear what's going on, whether you're buying, selling, renting, leasing, whatever, find out what the dynamics are, because there's a lot of change up, quick change, things are shifting and unexpected directions
Yeah,
more often than they ever have been. So run your
that's
numbers
awesome.
conservatively, be ready to pivot. It's always about adapting and
Yeah.
taking what you're given and finding a way to make it work. So that's what I'm doing here. We're just going to get market rate rent is what it is, and so it's just a term. If that has shifted, at least for now, we're going to adapt and then maybe do a 6-month lease and
Yeah.
renew it in the spring.
I love it. Beth,
Mhm.
thank you so much for coming back every week. This is amazing. Somebody wanted to buy, sell, or network in your area. How would you want them to reach out?
Always a pleasure. So I can be reached at bethtraversogroup.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.